Welcome back to another video, y'all. Today we have the best forward build updated to this point in the year. I have not posted my best build that I have been using all year long since the very beginning of Chell 24. So let's get right into the best forward build for this year up to this point. Now first, for the archetype for this build, instead of going with a sniper like I decided to go with in the beginning of the year, I actually go with a dangler now. In all honesty, I've been using a dangler pretty much since I've been playing Chell, just because it's always gone with my playstyle. I've always liked doing the flashy moves and all that good stuff, and you can still get max speed, you can still get a really good shot, get really good abilities and all that good stuff, so there's no reason you can't be really good with a dangler. So that's what we're going to go with. We went with 5'9", 160 pounds, and of course the reason being for that is because that gives you that max speed and max acceleration, and also does give you max agility as well. Your handedness is completely up to you. Of course, I prefer lefty, but whatever hand you shoot with is up to you. And boosts and abilities we will come back to as always. For your first attributes, your technique attributes, all you want to do is of course add 5 to speed, because like I said, we made him small so we can max out our speed. We're going to make him as fast as possible. Then you want to take 3 off your wrist shot, 2 off balance, and 1 off both slap shot and agility. And reason being is because as long as you have around an 80, like a 75 to 80 on both your wrist shot and slap shot accuracy, it will be more than good and more than effective. Agility and balance, those will be more than effective, and we also will make up for some of these stats later in the build as well. Next, for your power attributes, like I said, we're going to make this build as fast as possible, and up to this point I still think acceleration is pretty useful, so I try to max that out as much as I can. And there will be a test coming on the channel very soon, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I will be testing how valid acceleration really is this year. Is it worth it to use on your build, or is it not this year? I will be running a test very soon, so definitely be on the lookout and sub what note he's on so you don't miss that in the future. Then you just want to add 3 to your puck control, take 5 off slap shot power, 3 off your wrist shot power, and just take 5 off your endurance as well. And like I said, reason being is your shot power you don't really need too crazy of, because I can absolutely still unload on 1Ts even with 74 slap shot power, as long as I'm not like shooting them from the blue line or something, which for the most part you really won't be. And same thing with your wrist shot power, but we also will make up for wrist shot power a little bit later in the build as well. After that, for your playstyle attributes, there's a couple different ways that you can actually do this, and it all really depends on 1, what position you're playing, and 2, kind of your play style. If you want to go like fully offensive and you want to use like all your abilities and everything on offensive traits, or if you want to have a little bit more of kind of a 2-way build but also still be really fast and not using a 2-way forward type build, but also still be able to play like really good defense, almost like a Pavel Datsyuk type build, there's 2 different ways you can make this. So for the offensive one, this is what I really use most of the time, and I go with +3 to your passing, +2 to your offensive awareness, and +1 to your defensive awareness, because I still feel like I can play more than solid defense with this build. And then you take 5 off body checking and 1 off stick checking. Like I said, that's if you want to go fully offensive for this dangler. After that, for your playstyle attributes, if you wanted to go a little bit more defensive and kind of play more like a 2-way but way faster and way better with the puck, then here's what you want to do. You just want to add 2 to your passing, add 2 to defensive awareness, 1 to stick checking, then take 3 off your offensive awareness and 3 off your body checking as well. Reason I made it like this, it will just meet the threshold to get you abilities like shutdown, quick pick, yoink, all those good abilities. Stick them up. The only thing it won't get you is truculence. You do need higher body checking for truculence. If you wanted to get that ability, however, all you would have to do is really just kind of beef up your body checking and probably use a boost as well to give you +4. However, that's not what we decided to go with. Like I said, we just meet the threshold. In my opinion, I think shutdown is a little bit better than truculence, simply because shutdown you get the ability of hitting, and you also get the ability of poke checking, kind of like a 2-in-1, whereas truculence, it kind of just gives you the extra ability of hitting. For your tenacity attributes, I just decided to add 3 to your hand eye, 2 to strength, then take 5 off your shot blocking and 4 off your durability. And finally, for your last attributes, your tactics attributes. This, again, much like Playstyle, there's 2 ways to go with this, and this one depends on your position. If you're going with center, you're of course going to want to beef up your face-offs, so we're going to add 5 to face-offs, take 5 off your fighting, and take 3 off your discipline. Whereas if you wanted to make this build to play on the wing, you would just add 5 to your deking, take 5 off face-offs, 4 off your fighting, and 3 off your discipline. Now, going back to abilities, you of course can go with any of these zone abilities, but I would definitely recommend one of these 2. I would either recommend elite edges or close quarters. Reason being, I mean, since abilities have come into the game, these 2 have been one of the top 3 abilities that have been in the game since they've been added. However, I love gold elite edges, so that's what I'm going to go with. And moving into our superstar abilities, of course, I did say we were going to beef up our shot without beefing up our shot. Right, we do that is of course using a superstar ability, and we are going to go with silver close quarters for our first one. Now for our second one, this one is completely personal preference. This is what I go with for my second one. I always use skilled up as my second ability. I love going for Michigans. I love going for Zegers passes. That one's personal preference, like I said. Now if you didn't want to go with that, you could also go with a different one. You could go with something like tape to tape if you wanted to. You could go with something like ankle breaker if you wanted to improve your deking a little bit more. You could go with something like shock and awe. You could go with something like big tipper. And you could also even try out maybe quick pick or some kind of defensive ability. Like I said, this is the way that I made it kind of more offensive. So if you're making it more offensive, you don't necessarily have the choice of defensive abilities, but I make it more offensive because, like I said, I do go with skilled up, but the second superstar ability is completely personal preference for you. And finally, for our boost, like I said, we are going to max out our speed and our acceleration. So that is the 2 boosts we're going to go with. Power skating, steady strides give us +2 speed, +2 acceleration, 95 speed, 95 excel. You got 90 deking, 90 face-offs if you're playing center, or you can have 95 deking if you're playing on the wing. If you wanted to make this build a little bit more defensive, you can also do that. And with 95 speed and 95 acceleration, so this build is an absolute unit. You can make this build and flex this build any way you want to your play style. And like I said, that is the updated forward build that I'm rocking with to this point in the year. I didn't really do any updated builds last year, so I definitely wanted to do some updated builds this year. So if you did enjoy, be sure to comment any other builds you want to see me create down below, whether they're player builds, best builds, updated builds. I will be coming with more, do not worry, for every single position. So be sure to sub with noties on so you don't miss any of those in the future, and leave a like if you do enjoy this build, and if you do try it out and you like it, let me know down in the comments below. I greatly appreciate you boys watching, and I hope to see you the next one. Peace.